I hope you don't like actually seeing Sion do things, because that's just not going to happen this game. For today's video, we're going to be taking Sion and Draven for a spin. This is the new discard archetype. It's a bit slower, a bit more mid-rangey, and I have to be honest, I think personally, as far as playstyles go, I prefer the go wide breakneck aggro with Draven and Jinx, but I can see the merits to this as well. And I'm not saying this deck is bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's been really popular on the ladder and people are finding success with it. I just think I might be an aggro player at heart, and I really like those explosive openers of the other archetype. I might even do a video on that. I wanted to do Sion with Draven because obviously new champion, you want to show it off, but I think that old, if you will, discard aggro, Draven Jinx got some new tools as well, and there's a lot of merit to potentially continue playing that archetype. But we're going to go through the list here in a moment, then we're going to play some games. This is where I remind you, if you just care about the gameplay, you can use time tags to jump ahead, just watch the games. And if you want the deck list, deck code will be in the video description. Link to Mobalytics will be in the video description. Finally, if you're new, consider subscribing, hit the like button, all that jazz. But we are going to go through the list now, starting with 3 copies of Poro Cannon. And yes, this is not the breakneck go wide aggro. We are not running Arena Battlecaster, for example. However, 0 cost ways to discard and get some of these triggers is really important. It's why Draven is so important in this particular deck, but we want additional ways to do that. And even more so, when you play Draven, your opponent knows that axes are there, so they can kind of play around that. Whereas if you've got a Poro Cannon in hand and they can't see it, well, you can sometimes catch people by surprise. So we run 3 copies of Poro Cannon, and we want a way to block elusive units, block Teemo, who's really popular on the ladder right now. And so this gives us a lot of options. Also running 2 copies of Draven's Biggest Fan. Draven is the most powerful thing you can do on round 3 in this deck, in my opinion. So we want to make sure we're drawing Draven. And if you already have Draven or it's late in the game and you don't want to play the Biggest Fan, well, we've got plenty of ways to discard cards, so it's not going to be a complete waste. Reborn Grenadier. This is just really powerful, especially on turn 1 when you can play something like Urchin into a Grenadier and swing for 5. Seems pretty good. So we're running this just because of the raw power of the card. I will also say it is shocking to me that you can block with this card. And so when your opponent tries to catch you with an open attack, being able to use like Poro Cannon or axes to discard a Grenadier and then block something. And because it has 3 attack, it can even block fearsome units. This is in many ways a bait card on defense as well. So I'm a big fan of this card just kind of in general. Urchin, we want to discard things, we want to draw cards, we want 1-drops, does all of those. All right, 2-drops. I'm gonna start on Fallen Rider. This is just here because of the fearsome, and we can discard it and upgrade it. But then I also want to highlight, I'm currently running 1 Boom Baboon and 2 Physician. I'm not sure which split I like more here. I love Boom Baboon, and I really like what Chompers does, but with us not having Battlecaster and us not having Vision, we're relying on Axis to take advantage of the Chompers. But there's still plenty of ways to do that, so I don't want to remove it completely, but I also really like that we get card draw with Physician, and I like specifically it always draws a unit because those are usually what we want to then turn around and re-discard. So searching for your Scions, searching for your Warmongers, I think that makes sense. So I'm currently running a split, but I could see those numbers moved around. We're running Rummage because we have lots of cards that we can discard for value. And in many ways, I feel like Rummage was nerfed because this deck was coming. I can't imagine this deck if Rummage still costed 1. And that's all I'll say. You like Rummage in this list traditionally. 3 copies of Draven, best card probably in the entire deck. 3 copies to get excited. We like the burn and we can offset the drawback really easily. Sump Dredger is just an Urchin at 3. Warmonger. This has Overwhelm, and there are times where playing a 5/5 for 5 with Overwhelm is actually good enough because we want to go over the top of things, but we obviously can also discard this and get some burst damage in the right situation. So I think this card is actually pretty versatile in the list because, again, we play this from hand sometimes. This is not always discard fodder. Couple of survival skills because, again, we're playing a slower deck and we don't want to be so vulnerable to spot removal. So if you've got your Draven down, or even if you've like hard casted a Warmonger, and certainly later on Sion, if you're not ready for it to die, we want ways to keep those alive, and survival skills helps us with that. And then obviously Sion on the top end, we want to play it, and then even more so when we're ready to rally, when we have the right board for it, we want to be able to attack, get that big damage, hopefully he dies, and then we re-attack. We do have to worry about cards like Mini Morph in the current meta, and there are some pretty solid control decks floating around, so he's not been as exciting as I was hoping, but we still run him. And then finally, Lost Soul. This is really a 4-drop. Like if you draw this early on, you're gonna have a way to discard it, and then you'll notice there are no 4-drops in the list, and that's because our Lost Soul is really our 4-drop. Now obviously later on you can play it for 8 when the game goes long. Again, this is a more mid-rangey deck. This is like, what if Demacia had a discard package? In many ways, that's the way this feels when I play it. But Lost Soul is really your 4-drop that can also be an 8-drop. And that's the list. So we're going to go take it for a spin now, see how it performs, and hopefully have some fun along the way. Well, we're going to be up against what I have to assume is going to be some sort of like go wide aggro deck if you just have Lulu and Poppy, though this could be like Bandletree. To be fair, those are the champions I think I show when I'm playing Bandletree. I think these go back. We like having the Poro Cannon with the Grenadier when we're on 1. I think we just take the 3. Because if we see Bandles here, we have to assume they've got some sort of 1-drop. And so we could have been greedy and played the Poro, but if we have a free 3 damage that we can take against a deck that we assume with Poppy and these regions, you have to assume one of 2 things, right? You have to assume either they're playing Bandletree, in which case they likely still have a bunch of cheap options, or they are legit on Lulu and Poppy aggro, which is usually some sort of go wide deck. And in those cases, you would again have to assume they're gonna have a bunch of cheap options. And so either way, I think it's safe for you to say, okay, they likely have a 1-drop. Let's not allow that. So this card is actually going to be really good against us. We're not happy to see that. I guess we're taking 3. Guess we're taking 3. We'll play our other Poro. We know we're going to draw Draven. We have to decide now whether or not we want to start getting credit with our axe. And I feel like the answer is no, because we would have to pitch a Dredger. And if we get the opportunity to play something before they attack, we would like to develop this for next round. What are you waiting for? So I think we lock this in, and we also keep this as a blocker because we can put an axe here and block the Lulu if they don't have any combat tricks. So we're just kind of hedging our bets. We also get a bit of a gift here. The fact that this can block blows my mind, for the record. I think that if this card ever gets nerfed, they will likely just remove the ability to block, because that feels incredibly strong with axes and Poro Cannon and everything else.
I've got your back.
All right, so we are just going to give up one of the axes for now. Because what this means is if she supports here, then we still have the ability of blocking with an axe to potentially deal the 5 there. We're just gonna have to eat the Lulu now. All right, so this is going as expected. And overall, this is pretty heads up by them, except, again, the fact that this thing can block. So we get to do absolutely silly things. So we'll go like this, and we'll take the 3 from Lulu. We have to get excited for that later. It just blows my mind that that thing can block, but... Discard discard a card to draw a unit is interesting. Because most of the units that we would want are then also really good discards for Draven, but I still feel like what we want is to take the open attack. So let's start with that.
I'm ready.
Let's just get the open attack out of the way.
I must reach the camp.
Death is transient, as long as the body holds blood.
All right.
New recruit reporting in.
Not necessarily the unit that we were, I think, hunting or hoping for, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. I would they haven't played this yet, which is interesting, but I would really like to get excited this before she has the chance to attack. And so you have the opportunity to do it now, but I'm still not convinced that's correct. With your opponent at 8, you also kind of want to hold on to your burn. Yeah, you run into situations like this where now even just our 2 Poros plus the get excited.
For the prince. All right, team. Adventure time.
Or you could just shut this down like right now. Because you don't want to deal with that.
Dizzy. A real battle. And beautified.
Valid and cool.
And so we probably take this 4 here, and you've got a bit of a tough call, but if we're going to discard either of these, it's probably got to be the Poro Cannon, because with the Rummage, whatever you draw, plus maybe another Draven Axe, you can refill your hand pretty well. But I think you do want to deal with this while you're at it. And if they couldn't save the Poppy, you have to assume this is a pretty safe shot as well. And so while I was trying to save it for the face, yeah, so we get the surrender because we're going to come back pretty hard. And there's, you know, 1 game in the books. Let's go see if we can recreate some of that magic.
Whatever.
All right, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. Shadow Isles, Bandle City, no champions. I think we throw all of this back as we look for something to Poro Cannon with, and we find nothing. It actually got worse, if you can imagine that. It actually got worse. Wow. We're gonna ditch the survival skills here so that we can play the Poro. I think I would rather keep the get excited. I got a feeling we're gonna need it, and we certainly want to attack. If you see Shadow Isles, I think you have to assume it's gonna be something controlling, right? Like this could just be like Ledros hard control, and they're gonna be running like pranks. We're gonna see that here. And let's go ahead and do this. You also have to assume that they probably are running mini morph, so our Sion is going to be problematic. So we're going to go this route to start before they have a chance to do any sort of additional pranking. Is this going to be double pokey stick? Pretty close. When I said we're likely running into hard control, I guess I meant it. So we'll just go ahead and Poro up. This will just be eaten by the spider. Not much we can do. I feel like this is already over, given our hand is as bad as it is, and we were unable to generate any sort of relevant pressure early on. All right, I think we just accept that. I think we just accept that. We'll bank the spell mana. And we'll go this route. We're likely playing right into... Oh, that's just going to get rid of our get excited. We're likely playing right into like a Withering Whale, but they've went below 5, so we'll take our shot here. There's the go hard. All right, so it's going to be Shadow Isles, Bandle City, go hard, huh? I think we do this as well. We just are off to a very slow start. And we're doing so against a deck that I have to assume is going to have a significantly better late game than we do.
Where are you?
And so I'm not sure where we fit into this matchup hierarchy at the moment, but... we'll play a Poro as well. Maybe this baits out the Withering Whale now. All right, I guess we're moving on. I guess we are moving on. I think we need to get rid of this. So let's just go ahead and go this route while we're at it. I mean, we're not doing anything like at all in the near future. We can't keep these Poros alive. We have to assume this is a list with like a bajillion pangs. Yep, there's the Withering Whale. We knew it was coming eventually.
See you never.
We're relying solely on Sion to help get this game to go in our favor. And we have to assume, I would think anyway, that when we find it, we will just get mini-morphed. So... we're gonna do what we can here. There they go, making our get excited expensive again.
Hey, kiddo. Dig your get up.
We're gonna get pranked again. Catalog. It just does that. It does the pranking. That's a pokey stick. That's a pokey stick. I think what we want to do here is just play more big units. All right, so we are not able to do much about that, but that's 2 Withering Whales that are down at least. So we can do this, which will maybe help us out.
I must get out of here.
Yes, you could do.
We'll do this just to dig a little bit deeper. Oh, sure, why not? Let's be honest, we're not going anywhere. So we know they have Withering Wail again, because that's what that deck does. And if we know they have it, there's no reason for us to not take the Sion deployment, which again, we fully expect to be mini-morphed. But it's still the play we have to make. As we've hit round 9 and our opponent is still at 20 health. Otterpuss was the choice. And we send everything. Here's the mini morph, guaranteed. And it's going to be a pokey stick here. So we actually get some damage in. It's not great damage, but we get some damage in, I guess.
Out.
But we're still trying to find our other Scions while simultaneously hoping. Simultaneously hoping that they just don't have more mini morphs. I mean, that catalog makes it so that they will forever have access to whatever it is that they want. Let's be honest here. We're holding out hope, though. We're holding out hope. Hidden pathways again. I honestly think we should overwrite one of these 2-1s with this as well, just so that we've got another unit that's above the 1 health threshold as we consider trying to push more damage this next round. Oh, all right, they're gonna make room for us anyway. I guess that's fine. It's not fine. We don't want them to have blockers, but we'll see if they have another mini morph. The reason you play this here is even if they've got it, we want to force them to spend 6 on it, which will maybe free up some of our other plays. We might as well get them out of the way. Again, we fully expect this to be a mini morph, but we want to force them to use it. There's the second mini morph. I hope you don't like actually seeing Sion do things, because that's just not going to happen this game. But we do get a little bit closer, getting them to 6. We can't even rely on this once we get them to 6, because we know they have access to healing. All right, so they give themselves access to some additional blockers. Boom Baboon's actually not terrible for us in the long run. It's not terrible for us in the long run. I mean, we'd love to stop that, but I don't think we waste our get excited on it. So here they go with the crawling. The only thing we have working in our favor is with them playing so many spells per round.
That egg. Did it move?
We have a shot of them like potentially diluting things. Yep, they're gonna keep digging because they need answers for the overwhelm right now. You have to assume that's their game plan. I would be shocked if they don't end up finding it, but we're at least gonna take this open attack if we can. That's one way to do it. We're gonna see another one. All right, so that's that answer that they were looking for. Which is unfortunate for us. I think we do this for now. We can't really push damage, but we have an opportunity anyway. It's actually kind of funny that that's the one they decide to glimpse, but I guess they want these to trade and maybe they want the damage here for this Withering Whale. So I guess that makes sense. You'd love to be able to stop that somehow. I think you have to do this on the off chance you find your get excited because you want to be able to threaten it. All right, moment of truth. They've got 5 though, so Withering Whale that they were already setting up keeps them alive, and there it is. It's unfortunate, but what else can you do? So you just keep playing bodies and you hope.
Look, a thing.
Elle, that's not ours.
All right, so we lose one of our challengers, which is unfortunate. We also get our bags packed.
The party has arrived.
I mean, they have to pick the rummage here just because they know that that's what we're about to do with this, but... All right, we wait and see now what we have for options, and we have to play this. We need the Overwhelm. Overwhelm is essentially our only way to attempt finding a victory here, so... We really wish we had enough mana for both of these options, but...
Axes coming right up.
We ship it. We pray. We're just doing our best to battering ram this.
Just kill me.
What we would really like to see would be like a vengeance here. We know they still have at least one more mini morph, but if they use it here, then maybe our final Sion with only 10 cards left gets it done. So with a Withering Wail, that theoretically keeps them alive, but if we do something like this, for example, we're at least threatening lethal again. And we're getting the shiny emote, so we're successful. Wow, that felt like such an uphill battle. I had no idea we were gonna pull that out, but we'll take it, I guess.
All me. And maybe those other guys. Whatever.
Well, gang, if you made it this far, I just wanted to say that I hope you appreciated the deck and the games as much as I appreciate you taking the time to watch it. I also wanted to give you that standard reminder. If you're new, consider subscribing, hit the like button, do all those standard YouTube things. But also, I just wanted to remind you that Saturday and Sunday, I am the desk host for the Wild Rift Summoner series. And unfortunately, that means I'm not likely going to get a chance to record Legends of Runeterra content. Videos will likely resume next week. There's a ton of decks that I'm still dying to showcase because I want to tackle the landmark champions, for example, Xerath and Ziggs. I also want to play some games on Nami, specifically with Targon. I'm just itching to play her with all those gems ever since she was revealed. I felt like that's a good spot for her. And so, yes, content coming. It might not be until next week, though. And if you're a Wild Rift fan, or even if you're not, consider watching the broadcast over the weekend. But that's it. Until next time, may you walk on warm sands.